favorite park. So let's go. Now every time I want to go to the park, I would have to cross over this place, right? And this is actually another park called Bonsam Park. And it's very quiet now, but when winter comes, the whole place is filled with snow. This place here, it becomes a winter wonderland. So the last time I was with my husband, we actually lie down here to enjoy the snow, and you can see people snowboarding and building snowmen. So it's kind of quite fun. This is the community garden, which I will often pass by whenever I am on my way to the favorite park. Yeah, you will see all these beautiful plants that are planted by various owners, where they actually get a small place here to grow their plants. These are the rows of houses that I'll pass by each time I go to my favorite park. You can see how beautiful they are. Usually I will pass by some of these food trucks along the way. We are at a park, as you can see. It's a beautiful park, isn't it? I'll show you more as we go along. This is the Fraser River. It is in fact the longest river in British Columbia, Canada. In terms of length, it is as long as 1,375 kilometers, and also it is the largest producer of salmon. We are now at the Osprey village, and as you can see from here, there are lots of row homes. In fact, there are 24 of them, and later on I will show you that there are some storefronts right in front there. There are in total 12 of them. So it's very interesting place, because when you walk further down, there is actually a long trail that you can enjoy, a trail walk. I'm going to bring you to my favorite cafe over there, which is something that I will do whenever I come to the park, because they serve very nice chai latte, which is my favorite, and of course the price is quite reasonable. And I also do order iced tea, lavender cream sometimes. These are the storefronts that I was talking about. Yeah? So there is also a community center on my right. Let's go into my favorite cafe to get my cup of chai latte. gotten my chai latte. So right now I'm going to find a shady spot, which usually I will end up over there because that so far has been the most shady spot that I can find over here in Osprey village. Today I'm going to share with you 5 things that you need to know when you are in Vancouver. Number 1, the weather, right? If you have noticed, ever since the moment I step out of the house to the Osprey village, there has been quite a change in terms of weather. Today's weather is supposedly to be about 13 to 15 degrees centigrade, but you will get things like the wind, the clouds. You know, it can be cloudy one moment and then it can be raining the next moment. It can be quite unpredictable, and so that is also the reason why I would usually encourage you to wear a cap, just like me. Not that I love to wear caps. In fact, when I'm back in Singapore, I don't even wear a cap. But over here, I find it to be very useful because it can shade me from the sun as well as the rain. And you may be wondering, right? Because the last time when I spoke to a Singaporean friend, I was telling her to bring along a cap, and she was telling me, how can the cap, protect you from the rain? And that's where we have to explain that over here, when it rains, it's not going to be very heavy. In fact, they go by percentage, right? The weather forecast will tell you things like it's going to be 20% or 30% shower. And that's where you have to gauge for yourself. If it's like 60%, then perhaps, well, you need an umbrella. But so far, I must say that yesterday was the only time I actually brought an umbrella along with me and used it. So so you can just get yourself a cap before you come to Vancouver, Canada, and it will definitely serve you very well for the trip itself. Right now it's autumn, so you can always bring along a jacket or a sweater, but don't wear very thick clothing, because we are very used to wanting to make sure that we don't feel cold, right? But the trick is to wear something that is of a cotton, something comfortable inside, and then to just bring along a sweater just in case, or an overcoat just in case the weather turns cold, or especially if you see that there's going to be a rainy day or cloudy day, then perhaps. But if it's going to be sunny, even though the weather says that it's like maybe 12 degrees, 13 degrees, like today, I don't even have to wear any sweater because something of a cotton material is good enough. Now let's talk about the greetings, how people greet each other when they meet. Whenever I get to walk and I get to see some people, even though they are not familiar, they are strangers in fact, they will still greet you with a smile and ask you something like, how is it going? And of course the reply would be, I'm good, I'm fine, how about you, right? So it's a very common greeting which you won't get back in Singapore, right? You just simply don't say anything, right, when you are in front of a stranger. But over here, people are very friendly and they would usually greet you with a smile, or you can actually give a nod if, let's say, you find that you are just not in the mood. But there's this incident when I was in a long queue, or rather, Singaporeans, we can be quite impatient at times. We just want to quickly get our things done. So I was in this post office, I think, and there was actually a long queue. but the person that was serving over the counter, she was just having a chat with the person in front of me and asking how she's doing, and it's not like there isn't a queue. In fact, there was a long queue right behind me as well. So I just have to get used to the fact that to them, once you're in the queue, you're prepared to wait. There's basically no rush and you just have to be patient. So third thing that I want to talk about is the service charge. I have friends who came over to Canada or to Vancouver, and they were told that they have to pay something like 20% tips, service tips. So my advice to them is 20% is not mandatory. In fact, usually I would pay from 10 to 15%, depending on how you find the service. Usually there is a way you can actually do a custom amount or custom percentage when they hand you the terminal for you to make your payment. Don't be too shy to pay less than 15% if you think that the restaurant or service that you're getting is not really up to par. Right? So that is for the service tips. And in terms of cash, right? Sometimes we tend to think that we should travel with a credit card will do, right? But over here in Vancouver, there are some places like Richmond or some of the Asian malls, right? Like Henderson Mall, Crystal Mall. These are some of the Asian malls where they do not accept credit cards. In fact, they only accept cash, and that's where your cash will come in very important. And in some cases, they also give you a lower rate, or rather you don't have to pay tax just to, and you can pay by cash for some of the smaller shops. Yeah. Cash can come in very handy, so do bring along some cash and not to rely too much on your credit card. When you come in a group, right, usually we would split the bill, as in to say that if it costs us $100 for the meal and there are 5 of us, then each of us will have to pay $20, right? But over here, it's very common for us to actually tell the waiter or waitress that we are going to split the bill. So in other words, they will just pass the payment terminal to each of the people who are paying, right? So if there are 6 couples, then each couple will pay their own. So there is no need for any calculation or any transfer of payment after the meal itself. So it makes things easier. And over here, you don't have to feel shy about even bringing home food, right? The leftover especially. There are many cases where we couldn't finish our meal, right? Because the portion sometimes can be quite big, and that is where we would always bring along our takeaway boxes. But of course, over here, if you do not have one, usually they will charge something like 50 cents or even $1 just for the takeaway boxes. So you have to be prepared, right, to pay on top of your meal itself. If you do takeaway and request for a takeaway box, they will usually charge you 50 cents to $1. That's about all in terms of what you need to know when you come to Vancouver.